sound means, baby. We back like the cook crack. What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Fab. I'm here with Ed, the number one Moon Knight fan. How you guys doing tonight, man? We're here to talk about Moon Knight episode 5, Asylum. It's getting wild, getting crazy, baby. Eddie, how you doing tonight, man?
Not too fucking bad. My boys did all right in the first 7.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna talk about that another time. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about because there was a lot to unpack in the 5th episode, second to last episode of the season of Moon Knight. And as we put up, this was the poster that they put out showing the scales, which was a heavy part of the episode. So we'll get into that. Let's get right into it. We basically jump right in where we left off. We're still in this little, I guess, asylum or mental facility. What they call it? Do you remember what the name of it that they called it was?
I don't.
Putnam. I think it was Putnam.
Oh, maybe.
Putnam.
Oh, in Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. So this is where we basically saw last, and then from there, we were introduced to this bitch. There she is. She started talking. Now I don't know if the voice in this one was exactly the person that was playing her avatar before, but this was Terawet, which is the Egyptian goddess of what is it, children and
women and
love?
Children and rebirth,
something like that, right? So she starts to explain to Spectre and Grant that they're dead, and that the hospital is actually, inside of a boat, and they kind of get to this part outside that they're sailing across, basically, the land of the dead to get to the what they call the Field of Reeves, which I guess is their afterlife or whatever.
Paradise.
So, but she has to weigh their hearts. So she starts putting out, and basically this is where the whole idea of the poster came from. So you get a lot of diving into like what happened to Mark. This is really like Mark's backstory. You find out how he created Steven, why he created Steven, and what you think about this, man. I mean, this is pretty much diving deep into Mark's backstory.
Yeah, I wasn't, honestly, the backstory I was expecting was a little bit more of the Moon Knight origin. This was like a curveball. It was, again, in terms of the show, awesome telling of how he generated Steven, but curveball. I didn't expect that far back of a backstory.
I hear that. But they kind of start where I guess most of the trauma that Mark has in his life starts from this moment where you find out he had a younger brother, and he takes his younger brother into some sort of cave near their house while his parents are preparing food, and then basically they end up drowning inside, or the brother drowns, and by the time he comes out or they save him, Mark's mom kind of looks at him like it was his fault. Now, right before that happens, you see them watching this particular movie, which is where Mark gets the idea, or I guess the personality, of Stephen Grant, which is from this Tomb Buster movie, which is a very funny play on words for Tomb Raider. But his personality...
Definitely a Raiders of the Lost Ark now.
Yeah. And basically, his persona, even the crappy accent that he uses, it's all from this little VHS tape. I thought that was really interesting.
Did together. They acted the parts together. It seemed when they were like walking towards the cave. It was something they did together. They shared this movie, that experience together.
Yeah, it was definitely awesome, man. I liked it a lot, that part. And then hold on one second. And then so basically after that, right, he kind of comes to grips with the fact that, that's why he started to create Steven. Steven realizes, he looks at the poster, notices the name, and realizes that he's not the original person. He's just another personality in him. So, they see Randall's drowning. Spectre's mom blames him for it. And that's where Spectre reveals to Grant that how he became Khonshu's avatar was about the mission Bushman, which is basically straight from the comic, which was a very very cool part. Um,
Yeah.
and then you end up to getting to this awesome scene here where you see the transformation. Let me load up the other picture because it was sick. What'd you think about this whole part where he was telling them about Bushman? I mean, they dropped the name, basically
I
like the
thought
story.
it was perfect. I honestly didn't want to see the reenactment of Bushman killing everybody because I think they would have fucked that up. He's a very specific type of character, Bushman. If you've ever seen him, his facial features, he's all like superhero villained out, like evil type of villain. But
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
explanation from Spectre and the way this scene just kind of ended, it was awesome.
You know what? I thought this scene was sick. You see Mark. He almost thinks like I guess because he sees the bodies and Bushman must have shot him already and left him there. That
Mhm.
he's getting ready to off himself
Yeah,
when Conchu like kicks in and starts talking to him. So it's interesting whether Conchu's been following him the whole time, but he gives him this ultimatum to be his avatar to avenge and be his fist of
I
vengeance,
I
and he
think
takes
that
it. He does a sick turn into the
yeah,
Moon Knight. It looked fucking awesome.
I think that Khonshu is an opportunist, and I mean, you could do worse than a guy who kills people for a living or does stuff for pay for a living. But Khonshu at that point would have taken anybody. He just happened to have. I mean, this guy's in the middle of the desert, hundreds of thousands of miles from civilization. He would have taken anybody that crossed that threshold, and it just happened to be this dude. So he got lucky. He got lucky with Spectre.
And they had this shot here where you're in Conchu's tomb. So it was really a great scene, honestly. But it's not where they start. They keep kind of going. So then they basically Spectre and Grant try to convince Starwa to let them return to the living world to stop Harrow, and she starts to steer the boat towards the gates of Oriasis, which I believe is like the head of all these gods, right?
Osiris, yeah.
Osiris, yeah. And he keeps there gets to a point where it looks like Mark or no, I'm sorry, it's Steven. Steven doesn't want to face the fact that like the mother's not alive because he keeps making phone calls to the mom. So they ends up switching back to the Doctor Harrow that he's like envisioning in his head, and he convinces them to basically fully up, like open up to Steven to tell him about everything that's going on because he seems like he's trying not to. That's Mark's whole mo, pretty much the whole show. He doesn't want to like ever really talk about the things that he's trying to hide from people, including himself, which that's what Steven is. And we
Yeah.
get to the part where he's basically finds out that his mother's actually dead. The mother hated him the whole time. There was one part where the mother comes into the room, grabs a belt, like she gonna whip some ass. That again, a lot of trauma, but it doesn't seem like that's 100% where he loses it. It looks like it gets to the point where he finally has to come to grips with the mother dying, and that's where he seems to lose control. And
Yeah.
and I think that's where the story kicks in, where Steven's been Steven for like 2 months per se, and it's like the mother's dying is the thing that set him off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
She hit the skids as soon as that kid died. So I mean he left. He left his dad to deal with that shit, and his guilt, along with the persona that he already created to deal with his mom, shit just all came crashing down.
yep, it definitely did, and pretty sick part. I mean, again, not a lot of action per se. There's a little bit of action because as they're kind of flying along on this boat, they get to a point where they're fighting basically souls that Mark had killed start to come on top of the board on the boat, and they basically have to fight it off. And basically, Steven ends up realizing that he can fight as well, and he ends up getting, I guess, pulled off or falls off the boat. and that's what balances the scales. You get this part here. You see Steven like fly off the boat, and then as soon as he hits the sand, he turns into, is it stone or ice? I'm not exactly sure
Mm.
what
It
happened
looked
to him here.
it looked like sand when they were kicking ass on the boat at where they had hit them. They would just kind of explode into little sand
Yeah,
particles and shit.
and then it gets to. Hold on, let me get the. I didn't load this picture up, but it seems that telling Steven everything, Steven basically sacrificing himself for Mark, ends up being the thing that balances the scales. So then we get this shot right here, which then the giant hippopotamus lady says, "All right, you good, you good. You're gonna be in the. You're gonna go to the, what is it called?
Field of reeds.
The
Yeah.
field of reeds, which is their heaven, I
Paradise.
guess. Right? Their paradise."
Hmm.
So what was your overall? And that's basically where it ends. It gets to that point, and that's basically the last thing you see is him standing there. So,
From a production standpoint, I mean, the second episode in a row where there's no real it's a superhero show without any real superhero interaction, or aside from the transformation, the origin, and it was still awesome. It was nonstop. Um, Nothing that you really had to think about because it was all common sense. The whole thing with his mom, him coming back, his personality splintering. It just, I mean, the quality of the show is that good. A superhero show that's that good that you don't need a fucking superhero in it to be great.
yeah, I mean that's Marvel's mo, man. They always say it's most important that the character inside or behind the mask has to be just as compelling as the superhero, and I think that's what they've done again with Mark. I mean, it's not even just one personality; he has multiple personalities. Whether we'll actually see a Jake Lockley personality in the finale, maybe not. It's going to be hard to kind of add all that stuff at the last episode. Still have a lot of stuff to do. Um, whether Conchu still has to come back. We know that's going to happen, so he can turn into Moon Knight again. But yeah, I mean, definitely a great episode to really dive deeper into a person who has so many issues, and to kind of see where it's all stemming from a childhood trauma. And then again, Marvel's always been about, it's the parentals. The parentals really fuck you up one way or another. It's because almost every character has some sort of issue with their father or their mother, just the way things are. And I get it because it's something everybody can relate to because we all have parents. So, but I thought it was a great episode. I'm really hoping for a big shebang next week. Get us right, in the right mood to see Doctor Strange. But I like this episode a lot. I'm probably gonna watch it again tonight before I go to
Yeah.
bed because I just thought it was a really good mind trip and not necessarily like jam pack action. Really, no action at all, with the exception of the fight scene on the boat, which was
Yeah.
maybe about 2 minutes long.
Yeah. I think I might have to rewatch all the episodes to kind of lead up to the finale and kind of prepare for a show that everything is leaning towards not coming back. And if it doesn't, then it's got to segue into its next franchise, which would be the movies, and what avenue the character takes in the movies, whether it's going to be
Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns, peripheral character in one of these Avenger character movies. I don't know, but I honestly don't see how you can introduce a Moon Knight into those Marvel phases. It has to be Midnight Suns. It's got to be.
It seems like that's where they're leading towards. You're going to get it. It might not be anytime soon, but that's where they seem to be getting. Maybe that would be a good idea. If we watch all of them before we get to episode 6, we could try to get Chris to hurry up and watch all 5 episodes so he can watch the 6th one. This way he'd jump on here with us. But I liked it a lot. I haven't had one bad episode. I wake up extra early to watch this shit. I always do with a Marvel movie, Marvel show, no matter what it is, and this one has not disappointed whatsoever. So I'm a big fan so far. Loving Mark Spector, Loving Moon Knight. Loving Oscar Isaac. He's been fantastic. If he doesn't even get nominated for some shit, that's just Marvel hatred and jealousy
Yeah.
by all the other fucking companies out there.
I was
But
so critical. I was so critical of the choice. Really, I know the guy's an actor, a good actor, but for me, it was like the stature of the dude. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But it worked out. I'm eating crow for that for sure.
Well, I mean, they couldn't have asked for a better actor, a guy to really be able to pull off both. But the scales balance, baby. The scales balance. The Jets have picked a wide receiver. Get Will a little there for watching. All right. So that's basically it. A little quick tonight, but I'm excited. We're gonna get back into it, and then next week it's a big back-to-back nights. We're gonna do this filming on Wednesday night next week because Thursday night we busy. We're gonna be seeing the doctor. All right, now I'm gonna have a prescription of a little papaya before I get into the theater. So, Ed, I hope you enjoyed the weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. Thank you for joining me again to talk Moon Knight, and we'll do this again next week, baby. Peace out, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe, and peace. See you next week.